Tell us why you've decided to double down on this map and this place on this playday of playdays to do it on. You are one map down. You know you were coming into this against the BDS pick, and they played a border and proved why it's theirs. Starting on the attack, BDS opted for the defense first. Maverick is the initial one taken out.
So the second one is, because Maverick, we've seen this plenty of times before, Maverick just makes the cache bomb site specifically a lot more stronger to hold as a defender-sided team. Other than that, sure, he has his uses against like a Kaid. No, there's a Habana. So now we are stuck with just the Thermite for the attackers. This really sways into the favor of the defense side straight away. This is going to be really tough now for PENTA to even start off well. Just because of those double bans, I can see BDS rack up another 5-1 scorelines. Look, I really could.
I mean, you would assume at this point that this is all going to generally sway in the favor of the defense. Taking both hard destruction off, you look at kind of the variety of points and where those can be really integral. Maestro is it's a standard ban there. They've taken it out of the hands of Ranchiro, to be fair, who is an absolute wizard with the guns. But, it's still... It's two hard destruction off. Thermite is going to have to do all the work. If you look at just the basement point, well, out of all the hatches, the church wall...
you go back to year one meta, don't you?
Yeah, you look at the kind of the push against... cache, and do you take that wall? You can't really apply the pressure underneath garage unless you throw a lot of utility at it. It's a tough ask now to breach through these defenses.
Valk's a weird one, though. I was really expecting the Mira ban to be kind of brought out, but then again, Maverick and Valkyrie are the go-to bans for BDS whenever they play Clubhouse anyway, so,
yeah.
It is what it is if they want to stick with what they know works. Well, if they know that they can play against a Mira and Echo combo, they don't have to worry about that. But they are on the defense first, and they're going to go for gym and bedroom. So just like they did on Border, they're going to go for another off-site pick.
I think that's the par for the course for them so far. They're trying to be comfortable. They're trying to kind of stretch their legs and find themselves able to play through the maps. Yeah, as you say, you're going to look at this point as a third point usually whatever happens, so why not take it first? Because that basement is pretty much impenetrable with the kind of selection of operators down, especially compared with how the previous map went down between these two teams. You would assume that church is always going to fall into the favor of the defense.
So how things play out, as we will be headed for that gym and bedroom, and looking at the setup from BDS, it's pretty atypical of what we expect to see time and time again with gym and bedroom. They're looking for the bandit trick, which is obvious. There's no Maverick, there's no Habana Thermite combo, you're just dealing with the Thermite, and they're going to apply those castle barricades, the double ones, to, of course, eat up a lot of utility, because the only real way that you can now stop panics is by opening up both of the castle barricades, and you have to do that using Sophia charges. And then also, I think Castle just helps with that main window of construction. And whenever they are going to go for also an extended hold towards cache, that's why you bring the mute jammers to assist you if there is a big, massive uptake in drone age being used by PENTA. Then that's going to help out. Overall, pretty standard lineup from BDS. This is what we expect. The mirror windows will help quite a bit in terms of the visual information gathering, because that's the only kind of information they have, because there's no Echo being chosen. Of course, Valkyrie and Maestro's gone. So they're relying quite a bit on it.
Well, the double mirror here between the two windows is a creative solution to what is the jacuzzi problem. See if you can find the firefight, and then obviously you assume they're going to fall through this first wall. You pull back slightly, and then you're going to hit them on the second. And sometimes you'll see teams do something like this where they'll fall off the first wall, but normally they don't have the double mirror on. Normally they aren't trying to be counter-aggressive on it. They'll just kind of utilize it, and then they'll go and reinforce inside the bathroom and fall back there. So it begs the question of, well, you've got to hope that you don't get grenaded around the corner.
I don't know about this, because you're basically giving PENTA a real big chance of winning this attack, because they don't have to worry about utilizing the Thatcher and the Thermite combo and the castle barricades as well onto that. I would have liked to see them fully reinforce that, and then also fully reinforce the bathroom. Because, what do you really do at that stage? You're going to use all your utility getting rid of the bandit, who would be bandit tricking the jacuzzi wall. Then whenever that gets opened up, he just falls back into bathroom, which you can't really eliminate safely.
Well, the thing is, the fact that they've also dropped enemy on the only hard destruction in the game, you know, if it was done the kind of standard way, it would have been, yeah, good night. But, you know, they've still got some option. They've still got some possibility here. They forced the man off the first mirror window, but he has a mirror to a mirror. So he does have sight lines towards anything they might try and do here. So it's never really, it's not safe ground until you apply a bit more counter pressure against the bodies that might be closer around. Hungry's going to drop down and rotate and try and double up underneath and see if they can find something from all the open floors inside gym, which they are well aware of. But in the meantime, there's some drones being dropped, and there is the underneath, and a brilliant play there against the mirror.
Yeah, that's actually really great game sense there from Hungry. Surprised he hasn't been refragged, though. Nobody from BDS wanted to go downstairs, but it doesn't matter, as Penta, they tried to force their way in and was very quickly collapsed upon by the remaining members in the site. There has been a down on Rafael, so essentially as a 2v2, Panics and Ranchero see if they can try and clutch up for their team.
Well, they still have a fair bit of work left to do here as Rafael is being reset, picked back up, and he's back on the board now. So a 3 versus 2 situation. Hungry still trying to find something underneath, but with the timer passing the 30-second mark, well, you're going to have to start coming up with a more aggressive plan, because you've still got to try and get this diffuser, and then you've still got to try and get it down onto the point, and you're well aware that they're going to be well aware of where you were. Going to creep round these central stairs past the barbed wire and see if they can find someone on the swing into logistics, but at this point BDS just have to sit back and wait. They have no need to have to swing against this aggressively. There's so much more barbed wire and 2 guns, including one body that's prone. There's the pings, but they can't quite find it as Yannick still has a fair bit of distance left to go on the opposite side. They're collapsing through, and Hungry does find one, and he finds another one, gets himself on a quad, but BDS from time lock it out there and bring themselves to a round win that was a bit closer at the end than I think anyone expected.
Nice try for Hungry. Where on earth was Yannick? Why was he over towards the cash room? Why? Why didn't he just jump through a window into the bedroom? I don't know. Where was he? What was he doing? Hungry did all of that work, and that's not an easy thing to do, is pick up 4 kills in a gym and bedroom, solely just by pushing in for kills. And boy, he made it work. But anyway, BDS, they still make the round their win, and now they get to move to the cash. And this one's going to be, I think, a lot more easier for Penta to kind of solidify a great bit of presence, simply because they're bringing the back in Sophia, and they will probably take from Lounge and try and go beneath and open up below the Bandit more than likely. I would like to see, though, BDS kind of pressure that downstairs. I expect it to be kind of had there.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to hand that land over easy. They're going to be very aggressive against it. They're a team that are kind of confident and capable at applying a little bit of pushback. Sometimes, yes, they have a habit of resting on their laurels a bit. I mean, we saw it there with, obviously, they were trying the double mirror back, and, you know, she was holding on and taking out drones, but it allowed, as we saw, Penta, the kind of ease of time to open up underneath and apply that pressure. But you would assume on a point like this where that ground floor pressure is expected, BDS will have a response to it in their plans.
We hope so. We'd like to think so, and BDS, actually they're going to go over and reinforce the full Jacuzzi side, so we could see a very aggressive roam game in towards the bedroom. Don't see that a lot. Sure, you know, it's done, but not to the same extent. We never really see that those walls reinforced specifically, because it kind of takes away 2 for the bomb site, and generically it would be either the 2 walls on the other garage, or it would be the 2 walls that would then be like the main site ones leading into construction. So I'm curious to see what they've actually managed to leave out. It looks to be it's going to be the garage walls that take a hit. I don't understand this, because if they know it's just the Thermite, surely if you reinforce those as well, it just limits another option for Penta.
Well, Penta in the meantime are trying to find their way across, and that's, as I said, one of those thermite charges is gone. Their options are a little bit narrower, so they've got to trust in what they're doing. And this is where we said the Habana would usually be kind of played. It allows you to get a bit of a crossfire up towards the CC window, get some more control on that kind of hop in and hop out across the garage and CC side, and then also put pressure from underneath, which you kind of need for a lot of teams. We'll put someone on the top kind of railings and top kind of rungs of this garage hold. In the meantime, they're droning ahead, making sure it's clear before they start, because, well, they've only got 1 charge left and they've got to make it work.
Penta just setting up now for their next stage, which will be opening up the main breach. Capitao has made it for the ban phase, and wow, how do you whiff those, RX? And really, that should have been a dead Capitao, and because of his kind of error there with his gun skill, it does mean that the wall's been opened up. Sure, they have managed to get the refrag, but the main thing they were trying to stop there was the Thermite charge coming in, and yeah, BDS, they gave away control, and Penta now, they're actually in really good shape. The fact that they have used both of their Thermite charges and haven't lost either of them, they're now geared up next for their garage take, and with a minute to go, this is still plenty enough time. They just have to make sure they make their utility count and eliminate the man playing top catwalk.
Well, the execute is often where they struggled in the previous maps. They've got to make sure it counts this time. The C4 loops around, but it doesn't quite find any bodies. There's the long-range grenade.
What?
Oh, almost.
What?
Catches Renshiro, but by the luck of all of France, he is able to avoid the damage as it bounces around him. The pressure is coming from Penta here, though, and Renshiro is going to see if he can apply some of it back as Shaiko is forced out of CC. Revan finds Rafale on the top rung, and they're able to keep collapsing across as Panix tries to double down as well and find the Buck as a Thatcher grenade bounces around mysteriously, but the Buck finds himself under siege from Panix below. Doesn't quite drop, though, and it's a lot of half health, and with 30 seconds, this is stuff that might swing in the favor unless they find the ground and find the aggression as Yannick covers down on Shaiko. Renshiro and Panix are the only two left in, and they have a heap of a lot of work left to do. Renshiro, though, finds one from underneath. Brilliantly played, and Panix ups on the table as Hungry gets downs Renshiro even on the other side, but they have to get this diffuser down, waiting for the man to swing round. They know that one's down outside. There is almost the take on Zofia, has baited it, has called out the information, and there is Penta aggressively pushing down, and Revan finding the close they desperately needed.
Yeah, Penta were geared up nicely there to try and go for the execute. Great decision making though from Revan to actually go for the kill rather than try and stick the defuse. I think that was the correct decision because, you know, if he was sticking it, he was very prone to actually just be, you know, a random stray bullet being pre-fired by the bandit. I like the way that Penta read into the way Shaiko plays that wall. Whenever one side is kind of opened up more than the other, which for example was the left side, Shaiko will play aggressive in that position. So I do like the fact that they had somebody on rappel waiting for him to go for those aggressive runouts. We've seen that done by Shaiko. And, you know, you look at Shaiko, and whenever he kind of first came back in, you know, it was like a new breath of fresh air, seeing like a new guy play to a really top level. But the more that we see him play, and the more that other teams see him play, the more that we'll catch on to his kind of little mini plays that he makes. And that's one of them. And the fact that Penta were able to know that, yes, he does this, let's put somebody in his way, and it worked for them. And honestly, if you let Shaiko just play the way Shaiko wants to, he will rip you limb from limb. You need to shut him down quick and early. And I think, apart from a couple of rounds on border, I think Penta have done that really well so far today.
Yeah, they've been
It's
able
just
to...
everybody else that they can't shut down, is it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Shaiko himself is a huge player. You can kind of target ban and tactical, try and play against him and man-mark the man with as many people as you can. But at the same time, as we've said before, the entire roster of BDS is one of prestige. It's one of history, and it's one where, you know, they're a death team. They can kind of be put together so well, and it's a nightmare stacked for anyone to really go up against because, yeah, you get through Shaiko, but then, you know, you've still got a Renshiro, and you've still got a Rafale. And,
yeah, it's like you've stopped one roaring fire. Well done. There's still another 4 more you need to take care of, isn't it?
Yeah. Setting themselves up for a similar kind of hold across these side. Echo trying to find the perfect positioning against the pipes of the drone.
There you go.
That's much better. Rafale.
Yes. No Mira from BDS, even though it is available. But I think it comes back to the Mira thing where even though that she is available, teams that don't scrim with her anyway, you know, she does have her pluses for this map specifically. It shuts down any option for a construction take specifically. But whenever Penta aren't geared up for that side, then does the mirror really matter? No, not in the long run, because the other mirror window that you would kind of have in your back pocket doesn't really have great applications for the actual stopping of the breach. So it's just, it is what it is. You know, they're opting for like a Legion, for example, to try and slow down the push. And whenever Penta have been pretty slow in how they've been carrying out their attacks, it makes sense. Panix has to get forced away as the firebolt gets handed in. And this is a lot better from Penta specifically. And there's the first blood for them on Shaiko. And BDS now at a big back foot.
Yeah, that was really, really well sewn together there. The immediacy we could see from Capital to get the bolt down and then instantly swing to where he died from Shaiko previously just kind of shows their learning. In the meantime, Hungary has suffered a fair chunk of damage, but it's Sophia and they have plenty of time and space to be able to get the back up as Panics is panicking around on the bottom and moving with the frequency to try and find a C4 that he might be able to double down here with the information coming in from Rafal's Echo drone. Has it torn, ripped and ready? Last time it wasn't as successful. They'll be aware of this kind of play that BDS like to do. As you said, they seem to have learned quite well on how BDS like to play. It's just, you know, making it work is step 2 of a very tough plan, really. And in the meantime, with a minute 10 on, the main wall open, and this is their next step. Finding their way into Garage, finding their way through Rafal and the Echo, and then finding some semblance of safety as they push across the point.
Haven't opened up the breach, though, to allow them to actually enter into Garage, and Buck will have to try and do that. So I'm really surprised the enemy didn't open that wall first like they did last time, and it has slowed Penta significantly compared to the previous round. And BDS, they have all their utility. Everybody is still, you know, full health. Don't really have to worry about anything so far. First Toxic Babe gets tossed in. And now for Penta, they need to get a move on, because there is still those Echo drones lurking, but whenever Rafael is getting pressured, they're just going to try and eliminate him straight up, which they will do so, but still from below, Panics is ready with a C4, and yeah, now a lot of pressure on RX to try and stop this main push-in.
Yeah, it's all kind of falling down, and we can see they're waiting and baiting for anyone to go a little bit aggressive and a little bit wide, but here's a smoke canister that gets shot out. Brilliant, brilliant piece of, well, response there from the sides of Penta, but they're creeping their way around. In the meantime, Revan is down, and Hungary is going to meet him there, and so is another one as RX and Panics double down on kills, and now Yannick has to push his way in, finds one, but he's got 2 more and no time to do it. BDS, from time and a struggle from Penta, find themselves back in the lead.
Penta was set up so nicely. Being able to open up that wall by the 2-minute mark gives you so much to work with. You create that breach, so anybody in Garage, they're now trapped there. Don't get why they didn't open up the other Garage wall with the Thermite charge. Makes no sense at all. It's there for a reason. You did it last time. Yep. Why have you then not went and did it again? Because that would give you that main entryway in, and it would honestly put Revan, I think, in a better position to get his nades tucked in towards the corner. More importantly, also, I would like to have seen a Capital bolt save from Hungary to try and eliminate the Echo in the catwalk. Like, there's a lot of things going wrong for them.
Well, that was it. Obviously, you look at where their step 2 is for a lot of teams. It's the catwalk. It's getting the person out.
It is, and that's why it should be.
Yeah, and they did it pretty well the previous round. I think there was less of an aggressive hold on it last time from BDS. I don't know if they doubled down with the Echo drones.
It looked similar. Actually, it was a bit less aggressive, to be honest, because they only had 2 guys in catwalk, but previously we seen the Legion skirting around in lounge. He was in the bomb site. So it was even less pressure being applied by BDS. It was really weird to see Penta not just go for the norm. But, well, we move into our 4th round. It will be the 3rd bomb site for BDS. It's going to be the basement. Bringing out the Mira. Mira on this particular bomb site has some positions that you can kind of work with. I wouldn't say either of them are like superpower positions, like ones that you look at and you think, wow, how is anybody supposed to get through that?
Yeah.
A lot of them are like pretty basic, and the way that Clubhouse kind of plays around, you have a lot of time to really think about how you want to approach said mirror windows. Without Habana, that could be like a bit of an issue, because typically we see Habana being chosen for this site specifically, so you can create little feet hole angles in towards triple wall using X-Kairoses. But since you're only limited with the Thermite, Penta have a big decision to make. Do they want to go for like a kitchen dirt push? Do they want to go for Moto with the triple wall? But then again, triple wall's kind of out of the picture whenever there's a mirror being brought, and we usually see one of those looking in towards Moto drop. Options for Penta, yes, they're there, but they're not great options.
Well, some of the stuff that we've seen from BDS with mirror windows have been very aggressive plays against them. Opening up on this dirt, but concerned about someone who might be trying to mirror trick it.
Mirror trick it, that's a nice one. How does that play out, Fluke?
Well, it's a very, very bold play, and I'll teach
Did you invent it?
After the stream, yeah. Only a few of us mirror players in the world can pull it off. Yeah, they're worried about someone trying to trick it, but instead they've actually opted for more of a flat push here, keep the angles tight. And that's one of the things about BDS with mirrors, is the point that I want to make, is, yeah, they're very good at aggressively playing them, but it sometimes relies a bit more on having a bit more width to the site and a bit more kind of, you know, you can find these firefights at range, whereas here, the one that they've put on Church, it gets you some angles that you can act around, which will work in the favor of BDS defense, but other teams who aren't as aggressive with them, it's a bit of a waste sometimes, because they sit, they try and use them as a deterrent, they try and use them for information, and that's not really why BDS bring them. BDS bring them to have a soft wall, swing around, and get a kill or two.
So Penta will be gearing up towards the dirt kitchen push. Only thing they have to be worried about really is C4 from below, but there isn't a whole lot of those, just the one from Ranshiro. But I'm sure there will also be a great deal of positionings that BDS have kind of layered together. You know, they have a lot of utility being brought. You have the Echo drones that can, you know, be supported by the Toxic Babes, and if you just have all of that gathered around like Legion Mines as well, it's going to be a real tough push for Penta to try and make it through all of that. But just at the moment, Penta, they're looking for another way in. They don't like the dirt push as much, probably because there's a smoke there, and pushing a smoke in dirt never really works well. Echo Drone also being positioned upstairs, getting some early information, has been caught out. And Penta, all of them stacking up towards main stairs. They're just going to try and push in towards the site from this angle. There's a mirror window in their way. This isn't going to work.
Well, they do find the opening frag on Shaiko for the second round in a row, and now it's a matter of trying to find the collapse against it. They put the pressure on Blue as well, as Blaz rolls in, and this is where he found the opener, but there's a lot of utility being thrown to try and slow him. They hit him with the drone, and it's IQ, so they pick that up and put that to bed.
No.
And there is Renshiro swinging round wide. Well, we said this is how they like to play mirrors, but usually not with that much aggression, and they find their rewards. 2 kills for the side, but it's put back to a 3-3 as they try and collapse and careen their way through Blue. All the smokes are leading Penta to more aggression, and this is what Blast needed to do. And there he is, almost shut down by Renshiro, but no, it all falls down to BDS, who pull it out with Panics with a triple kill.
Where's he pulled that one from then? Oh, they just line up. They just line up for him. And somehow Penta, they just throw another round to BDS. Do Penta want to win this match?
I think Blaz does, for sure. The kind of tip of the spear roll he's playing, he's got the opening frag for the past 3 rounds. He found at least 3 bodies in that round. But it's the kind of problem that we said was happening in the last map, is they're not really running it together. It's a bit loose, a bit wild. No one's really acting as a unit in that final push, and, well, things like that happen.
It doesn't look as if they have any clear line of leadership. They do the first stage, which is easy enough. Clear the map, any roamers, there's none. Open up the breach, try and push in through that, which they did with the dirt, get the buck in, eliminate people in armory. And then, surely, whenever you look at it, you're thinking, okay, now they start pressuring towards their tunnel, then they look to try and drop in the kitchen, and it's a simple plant. That's the way we've seen it go 9 times out of 10, Fluke. This is 1 out of the 10 where teams just go, I don't like that, let's just try and force our way into the bomb site via kills. I'll go this way, you go that way, and we'll see what happens. And guess what happens? You stack up, you clump up, and you just get picked apart. The time is always going to be against you, because whenever you decide to try and opt for like a new approach with only like a minute to go, you don't have any time to drone. They're still taking that time to drone out, but that's where the time starts eating them alive.
More of a classical hold coming out from the side of BDS. They've doubled down for the first time. Kaid is on the board alongside the Bandit, and they obviously have the castle as well to offer some semblance of control against the gym side. This is going to be them hard holding the walls. We've seen them double down on Jacuzzi.
Yep.
They're doing the double across on Cashwall as well. They're not going to allow Penta the entrance that they had previously, because it came a bit down to the wire, sure, but it was a one and done kind of strategy, leaving that half heavy.
I like this, that the fact that they've brought the Kaid and the Bandit means that either one can trick either side being the Jacuzzi wall and the cash room wall, and it's a nice setup. And whenever they know that Penta are only limited to the Thermite, as shoots the Bandit charge, and now has to use
electric man.
Oh no. You hate to see it.
Kaid is just asserting dominance over Bandit. Taking out the drones, they pop round the corner again. This is going to limit what this Thermite can do, and that's just going to have to be on his A game here, alongside probably the Sophia if they want to make this work, because, well, it's not as easy as it was last time. This is where we talked about where the limit of hard destruction comes in. Here is a perfect example. There's 2 big walls at least that you've kind of got to get in terms of they're on the opposite sides of the map. they've now got someone denying the attempts on both sides. If they lose one of these exothermics, well then they're in a tight spot.
He's just been downed through a wall. Unfortunate.
Well, only for that body, and they're going to try and get the double as they bounce the grenade round, and does it catch?
No.
No.
ADS.
ADS, so I guess it's, yeah, the unfortunate way it happened, but Revan is able to pick up RX and open up the frags. They found their way inside. This was kind of where it started to fall apart previously, as they found themselves funneled into the gunfire of Renshiro on this back corridor. This time Revan drops the default cam, but there he is. Wide swings, wide pulls, and gets the body.
Penta, again, just single pushing with no support. This is the issue that they keep falling into. Blast is below, perhaps hunting for somebody downstairs, which, an assumption, it's a correct one, because there is a man just sitting in bar, but Blast instead, he rotates away, again, seeing that there's only a minute to go, and they're going to try and stack up and just force their way in, and we know how that one ends. Never going to end well for BDS. Rafael, still inside of construction, can sit happily and try and hold the cross, make sure nobody jumps in Jim. Oh, but he gives himself away. The man in bathroom pushes in aggressively and will eliminate him. Blast, another one for him. And BDS will live crumble to him.
Well, as I said, Blast has been such a big force in getting these bodies down, and now it's a matter of seeing if they can get the diffuser. The person Panic swings around to offer the cover there and take care of the diffuser, and now he's just going to pull back slightly and concerned about someone dropping in via logistics. In the meantime, Shaiko is still underneath and rotating his way back round, and through Yannick's he finds another body, and there's the IQ hitting and dropping down.
Triple kill for Blast, and there's the lockout for Penta. What a round from him. That is how you make your statement and actually try and revitalize your team and get a bit of morale going. Because that's now the second round for Penta, and on a very heavily defender-sided clubhouse, that's a great half from them. And BDS, I'm not entirely sure where the lack of communication is coming from. Perhaps it is because they don't bring a lot of information up, which is understandable. Maestro and Valkyrie gone, you're really relying on the Echo. I don't know how I feel about them going for like the Bandit Kaid. As soon as that jacuzzi wall gets opened up, for me in my head, I think then you double reinforce bathroom, and then that means that Penta have to go through yet again another layer, and we've seen that a lot more common. Perhaps it was the fact that he got downed through a wall, which is still really weird in how that happened. But yeah, just overall for BDS, they just got a little bit slow there, and Penta, they well played them. They got the frags, they got that aggression in, and got themselves moving, which is different that we haven't seen from them this series so far.
Wow, they can have the option of making it a 3-3 split here, which would be huge in favor of Penta being able to pull this clubhouse in. Obviously, they've taken CCTV once. The second time round, they were a little bit slow in terms of actually executing their utility, and if they were able to do it the same way they did the first time round, well, they might have been able to find a little bit more, precedence for taking it the second time. So, well, third time's the charm. I guess we'll find out as we opt again to hit these CCTV and cache side. In the meantime, BDS don't really change. BDS play what they play, They're comfortable, they're confident, and they're happy to do whatever they need to do when they need to do it.
So Penta, their cache, they have won at once and lost at once in their attacks. Last time it was simply down to the time and the fact that they didn't clear out Catwalk as safely as what they did the last time, so they kind of went back a step. Now they need to try and take 2 steps forward and have a really solid round for themselves. Probably for BDS, I think they will still try and hold to Catwalk as much as they can. They now have Renshiro down in Lounge, just like they did the first round, which just applies more pressure to Penta. It lets them know that they don't have that kind of freedom, that space to go in towards Lounge, because of course those goo mines, it's great to kind of deny access, because as soon as you get by a goo mine, whenever you're solo pushing, you freak out, and you're not going to push that, are you, Fluke?
I mean, no, not in that kind of situation as well. And it's the thing about the kind of, how much people say about their operator, because it can really pull apart a quick push team, and that's something we've seen from Penta before. Sometimes to our eye, we've seen them try with a bit of pace, but also last time they pushed here and the first time they pushed here, they were doing it with only about 20 seconds left, and a Legion mine in that moment in time is beyond decisive.
So Breach has been opened up thanks to the Sophia trick, not bringing the Capitao, which is a bit of a questionable decision why they didn't go for it this time around, perhaps fearing the more Echo drones and they want to bring the IQ to try and eliminate them. And Rafael just gets set up again inside of Catwalk. Panix has dropped in towards Lounge to assist Renshiro, so BDS are playing very heavy off-site and really relying on RxWD, who has been a rock this entire map, I feel, for him on this cache. And still just for Penta, looking for that opening pick. And they're doing the same thing again. Nothing really too differently, and sure, that kind of leads into what Penta like to always have these structured attacks. But their structure in their second half has been really lacking, and again, it's the minute, and they still have not cleared out Catwalk.
Yeah, and you know, you kind of compare it with the pace they managed to do this the first time we were here, and you know, and this is looking unfortunately more like the second time we were here. We hear some lesions go off, they're trying to find the entrance, it's Blast underneath. As Renshiro suffers a huge amount of damage, but it's free to just rotate off. Didn't get the drop on them, and that could be a big loss here as he loops around via the opposite stairs, and Shaiko's pre-firing open doors to allow him to have a cleaner entrance. It's just a really, really nice thing for a friend to do. In the meantime, enemy is trying to find a bit of a closer way in, but with 30 seconds left and the smoke canisters popping off any immediate route in, it's just becoming a tougher and tougher fight. Hungary does find the opener. Finally, they take care of this top catwalk, and now they've got to make their way across, but with only 20 seconds, this has to work flawlessly. Gonna throw in the Thatcher, try and take care of any potential, well, problems that might arise, but another canister goes down, and you can see the body swinging closer. Yannick finds another, and it's Shaiko yet again on that swing round. We see the rotate on the far side, trying to get the diffuser planner, and it does work. There's the C4, but Penta collapse and close down with frags aplenty.
That was 10 times better from Penta. They were clear in what they wanted to achieve, and they were decisive in how to achieve it. That's exactly how things go. You have, you know, the whole catwalk being sanctioned off. You have that breach being opened against Shaiko, playing right into the hands of the attackers. He just hasn't really got going, I would say, this map so far. Enemy hasn't got a kill, but they're still 3 apiece. And I think that's down to Hungary and Blast, who are having exceptional games right now. And let's see how things differ as they will go to the defense. And are we worried now for BDS? Look, are we worried for them?
I mean, yes and no. I need to see some of their attack. One of the things that we kind of talked about in that Penta was doing wrong was they were a little bit spread out. They weren't quite together, and we're seeing that a little bit from BDS now. We are seeing them again. We saw them in the previous round. They were very wide. They were very spread out. They were trying to do stuff from many different angles, and some of it was working and some of it wasn't. And it means moments like that where Penta, as we've seen, have this habitual method of just man-moding their way through onto the point and forcing as many bodies through as possible. If you don't have the support, that can work. And maybe that's something that Penta's read into with BDS's. They've gone, if we can just outnumber them on the point, we'll lose 1 or 2, but we'll take the point, and then it forces them to have to retake against us. And on a map like Border, where there's more kind of destructibility and possibility for closing that down, it works in BDS's favor. On a map like this, where it's tighter rooms, harder walls, and tougher ways to find a way back in, well, it's been working for Penta, and now it's their turn to try and lock this out.
Loading new magazine!
Lineups now for BDS and Penta. A bit different, I would say, looking at the Penta lineup to what we previously had seen from the likes of BDS. Particularly Mozzie. That's an operator that BDS don't really take into their lineups, and we've talked about him before. He's wonderful. He does a lot of great things for a lot of setups. Kind of fills in the gaps, I feel. If you need somebody who can do a little bit of everything, he's your go-to guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about him. He's versatile in terms of his guns and his ability. He can move his way around any map. He can play aggressively against
You need
the
somebody
point.
to do some trick shots on a motorcycle, he's your guy.
Get him in. Get the man in.
BDS actually looking for a sweep top down, so perhaps fear and room game from Penta. But that's really non-existent, which typically for teams in Clubhouse, we see pre-placed drones at the 2 sets of staircases because there only is 2 that you can rotate up and utilize as a defender. I'm quite surprised that BDS didn't have those scouted out, because they've just straight away wasted utility. Shaiko opening up the breach. That could have been saved for something else. Could have been saved to open up some vertical holes if they needed to, and just anything really that comes to mind. So hey, it's their decision. Hatch being soft though. Whenever this is a game where there's only a Thermite available for the attackers, why would you give them just an easy option and give them another kind of way into the bomb site without using a hard breacher? Really weird that they left that open. And Blast just rotated out main stairs, just freely, and picked up a kill.
Blast is having an absolute stormer of a game right now. He's able to obviously find the kill. He's going to rotate around the top, and surely that'll alert the man below that there's somebody close and somebody's playing. But this is all precious, precious time that Blast is taking out of the hands of BDS, because from the stability that they thought they had on this map, they have none. Now they have a man above. Hungry, in the meantime, finds Shaiko as well, able to swing up around those kind of main stairs and pop the body towards, and that is just, you know, the pairing. They have really been able to kind of bring this game into at least a favor for Penta.
Yeah, that was really nice position from Hungry. Being able to kind of go on the offsite, because generically, if you know somebody's upstairs, you're not going to be worried about a guy lurking on the main stairs, and that was really well played, and Blast still continuing on. BDS, they do bleed. So we found that out. Unless we can see Renshir and Rafael pull off a bit of a 5v2 magic, but it's oh so stacked against them. Not even the moto hatch being opened up. Still have to go for the mirror window, has to go for goo mines, and smoke canisters alike. And Penta, well, it looks as if they're going to be geared up and ready to try and take on the mantle of the defense with an early opening round for them.
Well, Rafael is having a bit of pace and just charges in through the smoke canister and gets cut completely down by what is an expected result there. It's Ranchero against the world here, finds Revan, but another smoke canister puts him out of the misery as Penta find their way into the lead for the first time today, and they're doing it in style. Obviously, it is being led by the pairing, that was pretty funny, of Hungry and Blast, who are, as we said, consistently, you know, getting their way into the point. Out of all the rounds we've seen so far, there has only been 2 where neither Hungry nor Blaz got the opening pick. And that is every single round. And it just kind of shows how repeatedly they are just aggressively finding their way through BDS, which is working brilliantly, because BDS, as we said, on this map, they're a little bit lapsed, they're a little bit relaxed, they're a little bit too spread out. And yes, if we're seeing a team be a bit slow and steady, BDS can make that punish that even, and you know, it's completely being torn apart right now by the pairing.
I kind of feel as if we haven't really seen BDS actually get going this map.
No.
I think they're still in border.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's a bit of a shame, but you've got to give credit for Penta for taking advantage of that. There's still moments where Penta seem to struggle the same way they did in the first map, but then there are moments here where their collapses, their kind of ferocity, it's a bit messy. Sure, it's a bit kind of scrappy, but it's working, and, you know, it's putting numbers on the board for them.
Cash for Penta. Bringing the Pulse into the lineup. First time we see him make an appearance in this map, and, well, the benefits of Pulse, specifically on this bomb site, I feel is great for the early information that you can gather and kind of figure out where teams are going to be pushing from, because you either push from the main breach towards Cash, and then in through Catwalk, or you go for construction side. That's kind of how you look at it. And if Blast can lurk in towards Strip Club and see nobody is spawned towards that Jacuzzi side, then he should be easy enough to kind of gather information and say, team, they're going to go for the Catwalk, get ready. And of course, that C4 from below can always be a bit of a poison on the blade for Penta and keep that as a bit of a secret weapon. But knowing BDS, they'll probably get him droned out as quick as they can and send somebody to go hunt them down.
Well, let's see if it actually comes together, because, as we said, it was a great way that they were able to pull apart the attackers in the previous round, but also wait a huge amount of time. So even when Renshiro was finally able to get it, whether they just got one body, or whether they got the 3 that they did, the minute and a half that they would have cost either way is a big, big swing on a map like Clubhouse, where we've seen time almost be the killer of what is a great Penta setup. It becomes such a big, big problem as you get closer and closer to the end of it. Barreling their way towards the point and getting it open. Shaiko is looking for this opening frag across the entrance, and there it is, Revan, caught completely out by the droning work of BDS, and now they're free to at least get a little bit closer, but it's still not over yet. Obviously, we can see the one man loose down an oil pit, and the rest of the bodies above.
First pick generally sets BDS up nicely for a really clean execution. Them being able to have the manpower just to send 2 guys against 1, I feel helps them a lot in the long term of the game. They have got the breach open, so anybody now in Cash, they're sanctioned off to the rest of that, and BDS, they know so. Panics, fires in. Oh, Hubashi gets taken out by the Echo. That's a great pick by enemy, but then there's the breach coming in, forces them into the sight lines, and Renshiro finally finishes off that Echo. So now for BDS, they have control of Garage Catwalk, they have control of the breach, and this should be a simple plant, unless Blast from below with a C4 can try and upset that.
Yeah, this could be a big, big moment for Blast to creep round. He's looking for a body, but they find him first, and that is a good frag for the side of Renshiro. 4-2 split. They find themselves careening closer to locking this out, and with a minute on, there is so much time. Hungry, everything is exploding around him, and shrapnel is falling in his face, but he pops around the corner and hits the remote gas grenade. Here comes Shaiko, though, looking for blood, and he finds it, puts another body in the ground, and there's one, and there's two in the favor of Yannick's, almost finds three. But he runs out of bullet, the poor Jaeger. And BDS find themselves on 4-4.
That was an excellent round from BDS. Basically showing Penta how it's done. Because yes, Penta, they did win 2 cash attacks. They weren't the smoothest of rides. They were really bumpy in between that. BDS just smooth sailing through it. Really cruising there. And that is a round I think we'll start to get that fire roaring. Get the coal burning up. And perhaps that can lead to greener pastures. And it will be, yet again, another cash room defense from Penta. Bringing out the Mira this time around, thinking that the Pulse didn't really have that much of an impact. But I don't know if Mira is going to be that answer. Oh, sick pick, onto the Bandit. Right, so they've jebaited me.
Wow. Happened, it's a tough life.
If they've jebaited me, they must have jebaited BDS.
Well, I guess we'll find out. The thing is, BDS, they don't really change. I say, as
they've jebaited you. Unlucky, Fluke.
I mean, it's soft destruction to soft destruction. This isn't like a huge change, really. The thing is, what I think they're doing there is obviously, it is to the mirror. That's the response there, as they're going, we could take this out. But one of the things that really slowed their roll was the shield that was just in the door between CCTV and Cash. And I think that's generally why they potentially bought that Zephyr from RX, who was otherwise playing towards the wall, and they're going to have the ability to pressure that out without having to pull Panics away from taking care of the Echo.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the fact that that shield is there to stop the Sophia stun come in, well, not only because it gives good cover, it protects the guys on stairs, but it is there to kind of stop that Sophia stun, which is another way, a lot of people don't know that, is that you can stop the Bandit animation as he tries to put his shock wire down using the stun mechanic. So it does mean they can then use the 2 fixating bolts to go over and take control of Catwalk, but knowing BDS, I think they'll still use one of them on the wall, and then use the other one for Catwalk anyway, so they'll just save the Sophia stuns probably for the site execution. Echo playing in Catwalk, I don't know how I feel, because BDS also did this. If you want to play a heavy, why not play like a Doc, who, like, how many times have we seen Echo be downed on that Catwalk, not only from, like, the BDS side of things, but also even that last round?
Yeah, but I think for me, a great opening there from Panics, by the way, to take care of Hungry, but I think for me what it is you don't really use Echo's drones for plant denial in this. Use it for information on the open doors and the open walls, and that's something that can kind of still be offered even then. Yes, the whole idea of the body up there is to take an ACOG, hold the fight for as long as possible and see if you can make it work, but at least with the Echo, you still then have 2 cameras.
Yeah, but if you're specifically playing the Echo, so you can gain that early information to see who's outside of Breach, Doc has a bulletproof camera he can bring as well.
Oh, but Breach and Garage. That's the double. So you have the information for yourself. It's the same way if you see Maestro still on the board, often he's the one in there instead. Because they put the one Maestro cam. Yeah, one Maestro cam on the back wall of CCTV to look over the breach, one inside the room so they can give themselves the information. So if they want to aggressively peek and push, they can, but they can also just kind of sit back and wait for the pressure to fall onto them. Talking of, Revan is rotating underneath. Obviously, Hungry got taken out very quickly there, and not having the smokes to stop the charge in on this is quite a big loss.
It is. That basically gives BDS an extra 30 seconds to coordinate their attack. Nobody favoring, not even Penta or BDS, not favoring the construction side whatsoever, so it does give the defenders a little bit more free range, and Penta just getting these single picks. And nobody from BDS there for the refrag, still looking to try and enter on in. Blast now, he's looking for the flank. Panics is ready for it though, but there's the Echo drones, will stun him out. Renshiro, what a rotation from him, he helps out his teammate. There's still one more lurking in towards motorcycles, and they know I want a pick again from Renshiro. That's completely turned the tides and swayed things in towards BDS.
Wow, that was really, really well played there from Renshiro to double down. They're going to force the man out from behind the shield, and they're going to smoke over the top to allow him to swing around. Renshiro finds a triple, but there's the thermite dropped in and amongst it as Yannick finds the third of his own, I believe. There is BDS. Once again, finding themselves one round ahead with their second execute on CCTV. A little bit shakier than it was before, but it's still a point on the board, and it only puts them 2 away from the series.
What a build of around there from Renshiro. That was such a good rotation. Like, I cannot commend him enough in the way that he was able to read into that, had the time. And again, you think about it, this time around for BDS, they had even more time to play with. And being able to have that extra 30 seconds for him to make that rotation, where if you're looking at 10 seconds and that flank tries to come in from the Jaeger and Legion alike, not going to work for you. You don't have the time to get back into bomb site. So that was really well played just from BDS in general. And it's night and day differences if you look at the Penta attacks compared to BDS. And that's just where they're excelling right now. Penta have gotten close, but it's just that final finish off that they need to try and get sorted. It's always that second half of the round is where they start to struggle, both in attack and defense.
Well, talking of struggle, last time we were here, BDS couldn't quite make the mark, really. It was a really, really good roam, obviously, played by the Hounds of Blaz on the Mozzie, which is going to be, I guess, hopefully a little bit more expected from the sides of BDS this time round. They're potentially going to try and collapse with a little bit more balance than what we previously saw, because the amount of time they left themselves, based on what they also had to do in a 5 versus 2 situation where you just got to kind of aggro push with 15 seconds on the board, it's not really going to go your favor, unfortunately. At the same time, this is Penta's chance to bring this game back into a semblance of balance, but even if they take this, they've then got to look at potentially CC again, or maybe Jim instead, which, again, is a tough point to hold.
10 seconds left.
Okay, now, BDS, last time you struggled down to this specific player called Blast on that Commando specifically, being able to rotate around. It's the old question, Commando 9 or the P10 Rony. Look, what's your choice?
There's a difference? No. You can...
Yes, look, there is quite a difference.
But the thing is, you can so comfortably jump between the two. Like, it's not like other operators where there is, there's some guns that have options. You look at IQ players and the preference that they'll bring towards the Commando or the LMG or whatever. Whereas with those guns, both can be so effective in terms of how you bring it. And I think there's been, everybody always kind of has the jokey things of, well, this is a situation where you might have bought the other gun. This is a situation where you might have bought the Rony or the Command or whatever. But you can make either work, really, which is not a common thing in Siege comp.
But what's your favorite?
I quite like reload animations. I'm a sucker for the kick to the side reload animation, so I think that's all. You put that on any gun and I'll bring it.
I'm a fan of Citizen, and he says the P10 Rony is the best, so I listen to him.
No, that's fair. He has got definitely a great position in terms of where he is on the world's best player rankings right now.
BDS, just seeing what options they have for them again. Remember, whenever there is only the Thermite available, since Maverick and Habana are both off the table, you really do have to pick your choices and where you want to push in towards. BDS looking as if they will be on for a kitchen push, since that mirror window's there. Triple wall is kind of out of the option, and still Shaiko tries to challenge against it. And this is just playing out nicely, I feel, for BDS, but they need that opening pick, in my eyes. If they get that first kill on the board, it puts Penta kind of in like the turtle formation, where they all back away, and they give BDS that freedom just to simply walk in and take what they want. But no pick, so Penta just holding strong, and there's multiple players from BDS just lurking around in different areas of the map. There's a guy over towards Blue Panic trying to put pressure there. There's the first kill, but it's not for BDS, it's for Penta instead. Blast again. He is playing so well on this specific bomb site. He is really livened up now and still challenging, and he hasn't been killed either. He's still alive.
Yeah, he suffered a fair bit of damage, but you've got to do more than just damage them. With 40 seconds, you've got to start trying to find your way down towards this point, and with your Thermite off the board, well, the options have just become way more severely limited. You can see they're collapsing from multiple angles, going to try and force their way through with firefights. As we've seen Penta attempt the first time round, it was almost successful, but can BDS find a little bit more in terms of it? There's the Zephyr charges going around the corner, and Shiro finds one, but Blast finds another. Enemy stacks on top of that, puts it in a 4 versus 2 as they spray wildly over the top, but Hungry is there to cut a man in half. It is just a Zephyr that's lying down and waiting and baiting for a little bit more of a feed away, but
they don't know he's there. You see the man.
He's gonna save
Hungry.
KD. Save KD.
He's right beside you.
I don't think they had any idea.
Oh my word.
Zephyr was like, if they don't see me.
Yep, just don't move.
Just don't move.
Just stand still.
5-5. 5-5. We're back to this, and we're back to CCTV cache. They're actually going to opt to try it for a third time.
Yeah, now I worry for Penta. Church should always be kind of impenetrable for the defense. Attackers should never be able to work their way through it, simply because you're only limited to the Thermite with the bans. That should always be a defense win. It's now the cache that Penta need to break. If they can't hold cache, I don't see them holding Gym. So this is like such an important round for Penta, and they need this one so desperately. I just don't know if BDS are going to let them have it, though. The way that BDS have been structured on their cache, they have looked so solid, and the way that they are able to get into Catwalk by the 2-minute mark is really impressive. Perhaps that's a lack of coverage and pressure not being applied by Penta early on to assist the man on top of Catwalk. They have sacked off the Echo, and they are instead favoring a much more quicker and aggressive lineup. They're bringing in the Mute for the drone denial, but I don't really think that matters, because the whole thing about BDS, they know someone's going to be playing a Catwalk. All it takes is one fire arrow. Honestly, he can just fire it anywhere, and it will get a bit of movement from the team. It'll get a bit of movement from the defender, and that's an easy pick-off.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to help.
I think the thing is, as well, as we saw drones and information being a big part of that, and if you want to bring the Mute, fine, if you're trying to do it to control, but why not bring the Mozzie again? The Mozzie that's already had a pretty good showing on your side, and the fact
Still
that
gives you that C4 as well.
it still gives you C4, still gives you the information that you might need, so, you know, what is the full reasoning to kind of bring enemy on the Mute instead of bringing some kind of, you know, aggressive drone control that you could bring in? And even if they take this round, Penta then have to go to Gym, which we haven't seen them defend yet at all, but we've seen BDS take it once and Penta take it once. So it's either way, it's looking a little bit sketchy now for Penta, because I think that's why they've opted for this first, because whatever happens, even if they went to Gym, they would still have to win this. So they may as well try it when they're a little bit familiar with what BDS are bringing, and then make Gym the touch and go point before we potentially hit overtime.
So once again, for BDS, quick enough to try and open up in towards the Catwalk. Blast, though, does get that first kill on the Shaiko, and previously it was Shaiko who's getting the first kills. And this does give Penta now that little bit of pressure. Whenever BDS are down their main fragger for a lot of the rounds, it does slow them down. Just that little bit more, and that could be the little bit more that Penta need to try and spur themselves on for such an important round for them. Now they'll try and open up the breach. You need to get Panics, though, in the correct position. He will rotate down, just wary of any windows being open, and here comes the asphyxiating bolts. This should be an easy open up for BDS, and yes, it will be. And this gives them then their second kind of step, is now the breach.
Well, let's see if they can make it work. A minute 30 on, they have the time, and they have some angles, and Renshiro puts a lot of damage into the Lesion. The top rung, and then is actually able to drop the smoke, and yet again the smoke is one of the first off out of the entire confrontation, and yet again it's a very big loss because he becomes such an important operator for stemming the roll and stemming the push against the open wall.
And if you look at the way that BDS positioned, they have that breach open. It means that the two guys in Catwalk, they're stuck now. They cannot leave that. And to be fair to Revan, he's very lucky that Asphyxiating Bolt did not come in his direction, and, well, he would have been burnt to a crisp. Still, though, Penta, they have control off. There's a C4 that even enemy could try and fling out and pick up a kill or so. Renshiro pressuring from below, and Panic's going through the main door. RX does eliminate Revan, and now it is definitely in favor of BDS and Penta, and they try and pull off some magic.
Well, they've got to do it fast. With 30 seconds and almost every single angle of gunfire, it's just a bit of a nightmare situation for enemy who meets an unfortunate fate. The two bodies left on the backside of point now have everything to do to try and bring themselves, well, not onto match point, on two uncomfortable positions here. They're trying to hold the tight angles. The flashes come out in the eyes of Yannick, and now they're trying to put the diffuser down here. He's going to creep forward, and he's going to see if he can find anyone on the cover, but they are all in every angle possible as RX gets another, and Blast is now in a post-plant situation. BDS put themselves on map point and match point.
Penta still lackluster in this cache defense. This is a hard bomb site for defenders. That's kind of the way it's always been. The fact that the attackers can open up that main breach and basically sanction off an entire bomb site along with a catwalk, never going to end well for the defense. Whenever we see teams defend this specific bomb site, it's down to early aggression and early picks that they can gather. Yes, they got one on the Shaiko, but where was then the second wave of aggression? Why are you allowing the utility operators like Panics to have that freedom, just being able to whip out his crossbow and fire up into it? I would like to see a lot more aggression from Penta. Even if you look at the way Renshiro was positioned, he was by himself outside a breach. What was to stop somebody jumping out of construction window and getting a free pick on him? Absolutely nothing. And I think Penta just need to try and excel at. If you give BDS all of that control and allow them to play their entire game plan out, it's just going to end in tears, and it has done. And now BDS, their match point, and Penta, they still have to go for another cash defense, and they haven't won it yet so far, so why should this round be any different?
I do kind of think in situations like this is why are they not trying at least Jim? At least try something else, because, you know, what we're seeing now is we're seeing a similar hold to what they did last time. The change was they baited the Echo to the Bandit, sure, but these are two strategies we've seen from you kind of both times. Obviously, enemy now kind of on the dock, potentially going to look for some aggressive firefights and try and hold down on the top. As you said, you wanted a dock inside the catwalk. Maybe that's what enemy's going to try and bring, and some aggressive kind of counter response to what is going on. But at the same time, you know, why are you so skittish about the gym point? Because you're on the kind of cusp. Now, you're in the situation where you're going to go to overtime whatever happens, and you've got to try something, and this has not worked 3 times. And it's not that it's just not worked, it's the things you've tried have been continually and rhythmically shut down by what BDS can do. You know, this is, you're all or nothing, really, and yeah, fair play, you want to kind of double down on your bet that you've already doubled down on, and you just got to try and make it work, I guess.
Yeah, so they have that dock, and I think it's going to help them a ton more. It just allows them to have that stability, then how you hold the top of catwalk, being able to steam yourself up. It means you can try and survive a bit more fixating bolt damage if that thing kind of floats your way. But just losing that first blood for Penta now is, again, just put them at the back foot. Allowing BDS to have that control and just know that they have the man advantage. Look, it's going to play out the exact same way. There's no way that BDS let this slip from them. This has to be their round. It has to be their map. It has to be their win.
Yeah, I mean, Penta have to dig deep now. We've got to see if they can make something out of this. Going for the thermite trick pretty much the same way that they've gone every single time, and they're happy with the cover there, and all the Thatchers roll in, and that is the big wall open. In the meantime, Panics and Yanix have both suffered damage either side, and well, they've got a minute 45 on the board to now hit their step 2 and their stage 2 of this. Yannick's concerned about Shaiko, is still free to do everything that he's doing underneath. In the meantime, Renshiro is headed up to the same place he's been in, and that's the thing about BDS, is they're so systematic and so rhythmic in how they start to pull apart your defense, that this is where it's becoming a tough and prolonged fight. It looks like he wants to take this one against Rafal, and he's kind of edging his way towards it, but Rafal has no need to try and get aggressive with it.
Yeah, again, BDS, they know they have a ton of time to make this attack work. I like this rotation from Renshiro, because this is the side of the map that not a single attacker on both sides have put pressure to. And Renshiro, he could honestly just walk in, and yes, there's the free kill. The Annex not expecting that whatsoever, and even somebody else has came to join him. They're in the bomb site, they're planting the diffuser. Revan has fired back with a kill onto his own, but Renshiro, a monster on this L8, fires through again with another kill. Diffuser being planted, and it has been successful. Another one falls for Penta, and Hungry has to clutch up, doesn't even get one kill for him, and BDS, they see the opportune moment and they take that. Oh boy, BDS 2-0.
Well, Penta put up a bit more of a fight on the second map than I think anyone really expected, and that kind of boiled down to 2 exceptional players in the pairing of Blas and Hungry, who repeatedly found bodies and repeatedly found